Chapter 13. Lights Below the Water. The office in Cheapside had the decorators in. Buckets of whitewash and distemper stood in the hall, and brushes and ladders obstructed the corridors. The place was on the point of closing on Monday evening when the porter rang for Jim. "What do you want?" Jim demanded, and noticed a messenger boy standing by the porter's fire. Jim eyed him unfavourably, paying particular attention to his pillbox hat. "Letter for Mr. Selby," said the porter. "Take it up and look smart." "What's he waiting for?" said Jim, indicating the messenger boy. "Waiting for his master with the barrel organ, is he?" "None of your business," said the messenger boy. "That's right," said the porter. "This is a smart lad, this one. He'll go a long way." "Well, why don't he start now?" "'Cause he's waiting for an answer, that's why." The messenger boy smirked, and Jim left, scowling. "He wants an answer, Mr. Selby," he said, in the front office. "He's waiting down there now." "Is he?" said Mr. Selby, ripping open the envelope. His cheeks were highly coloured today, and his eyes were bloodshot. Jim observed this with interest, wondering whether Mr. Selby was likely to expire from apoplexy. Then, as he watched, the phenomenon altered, and Mr. Selby's countenance suffered a sea change. The high tide of his colour went out all at once, leaving a grey-white expanse fringed with ginger whiskers. Their owner sat down suddenly. "Here," he said in a hoarse voice, "who's downstairs?" "The man himself." "A messenger boy, Mr. Selby." "Oh, here, nip over to that window smartish and have a look outside." Jim did so. The street was dark, and the lights in the office windows and on the front of the carriages and omnibuses shone warmly in the gloom. "Can you see a fella? Clean-shaven, fair hair, sunburnt complexion, stoutish." "There's hundreds of people about, Mr. Selby. What might he be wearing?" "I don't know what he'd be bloody wearing, boy. Is there anyone standing about waiting?" "No one like that." Well, I'd better write an answer, I suppose." He hastily scribbled something and thrust it into an envelope. "Give this to him," he said. "Ain't you going to write the address, Mr. Selby?" "What for? The boy knows where to take it." "In case he drops down dead in the street. He's a sickly-looking blighter. I shouldn't be surprised if he was to sling his hook before the week's out." "Oh, get out of it." Thus prevented from discovering the name of the man who was making Mr. Selby so anxious, Jim tried another tack with the messenger boy. "Here," he said ingratiatingly, "I wonder as if you'd have any use for this. You're welcome to it if you'd like it." He held out a tattered copy of The Skeleton Crew, or Wildfire Ned. The messenger boy had cast a cold eye on it and took it without a word, tucking it into his bum freezer. "Where's the answer, what I was waiting for?" he said. "Oh, yes. How silly of me," said Jim. "Here it is. Only Mr. Selby's forgot to write the gentleman's name on the envelope. I'll do it for you. Just tell me what it is," he offered, dipping a pen in the porter's inkwell. "Get stuffed," said the messenger boy. "Give it us here. I knows where to take it." "Well, of course you do," said Jim, handing it over. "I only thought as it be more business-like." "Bollocks to that," said the messenger boy, and left the fireside. Jim was opening the door for him. There seemed to be some obstruction in the way, and he bent to clear it. The porter was complimenting the messenger boy on his smart uniform. Yes, well, there's an art in wearing clothes, I always say, said the visitor. You keep yourself smart and you'll get on. Yes, there's a lot in that, said the porter. You listening, Jim? Here's a young lad with a head on his shoulders. Yes, Mr. Buxton, said Jim respectfully. I shall remember that. Here, I'll show you out. With a friendly hand on the other boy's back, Jim opened the door and showed him into the street. The messenger boy stalked off without a word, but before he had gone 5 yards, Jim called out, Oi, ain't you forgotten something? What? Said the boy, turning. This, said Jim, and released a pellet heavily charged with ink from his India rubber band. It hit the messenger boy right between the eyes, splashing its load all over his nose and cheeks and forehead, and making him howl with rage. Jim stood on the step, shaking his head. Dear, dear, he said, you didn't ought to use language like that. What would your mother say? You better stop, else I shall blush. The messenger boy ground his teeth and clenched his fists, but the sight of Jim's bright eyes and tense form, balanced and waiting for him, made him consider that dignity was the better part of vengeance, and he turned and walked away without a word. Jim watched with great satisfaction as the great maroon jacket, with its new imprinted hand shape and sticky whitewash, disappeared into the crowd. The Warwick Hotel, said Jim to Sally 2 hours later. He had it on his hat, silly bugger, and on all his buttons. I wouldn't half like to see what happens when he goes in the hotel with ink and whitewash all over him. Here, Adelaide, he went on, I've been down Wapping. Did you see Mrs. Holland? Said the child. Just once. She's got that big bloke with her, and he's done all your chores. Here, this is a good un. They were in the kitchen at Burton Street, and he was looking at the freshly printed stereographs. Which one's that? Said Sally, interested to see which one found most favour. These bloody great Beatles. That's a laugh, that is. You ought to do murders. You ought to do Sweeney Todd or the Red Barn. We will, said Sally. Or Spring-Heeled Jack flying through the air. Who? Said Frederick. Here, said Jim, offering a copy of Boys of England. Frederick put his feet on the coal scuffle and settled back comfortably to read it. But what about your bloke upstairs? Jim went on. How's he doing? He's hardly spoken, said Sally. What's the matter with him? Is he frightened of something? Do you think he was safe enough here? Perhaps he just needs to recover from the opium, or perhaps we ought to give him some more, said Sally, who was very conscious of the little brown ball of resin in the kitchen cupboard. For her nightmare was imprisoned in it, like a genie in a lamp, and needed only the application of a match for its release. What do you think the man in the Hotel Warwick wants? She said, to change the subject. Old Selby's dead jumpy these days. I thought he was going to keel over when he read the letter this afternoon. He's double-crossing them, and they've twigged it. That's all it is. What can they be doing, though, Frederick? What can a firm of shipping agents do that breaks the law? What crimes can they commit? Smuggling, he said. How's that? Could be, said Jim. Then there's fraud, sinking ships and claiming on the insurance. No, said Sally. The firm only had one ship. They're not ship owners. They're shipping agents. And that sort of thing's too easy to spot, surely. It happens all the time, said Jim. You think it was sunk on purpose, said Frederick. Course it was. What for? What for? I can tell you, said the voice of Matthew Bedwell.